Just waiting for Paul. The rain never killed anyone. Listen to this. First 4 people I spoke to all took the Gospel of John. So, great start. Hopefully it continues. Bye-bye. I just want to briefly touch on what me and Paul and Daz has helped and Robert come along. So, the last 3 weeks, me and Paul have been going to Ashton, speaking to people, giving out tracts, giving out Bibles, and just generally just trying to tell people the good news about Jesus. And Paul mentioned it last week, Sunday evening, and you might be asking, like, why? Well, a few reasons. According to, I think, Mark 16 and Luke 28, it's not a question, it's a command to say, go and preach the gospel to the world. So we're just being obedient. And the second reason, which is a bit selfish in one sense, is, I mean, I'm one of the younger ones here, and I've got 2 young kids, and I think to myself, in 10 years, will this church still be here for them? So we need to get out there for the next generation. So whether that burden is just on me, Paul, but if it's on anyone else, then please come along, or if not, just continue with your prayers, which I'm sure you're all doing. So there's been some really encouraging times, so this is probably the most encouraged I've probably been since I've been a Christian nearly 4 years. And it takes a bit of time to build yourself up. I've been going to the Bible studies for a year or 2, and maybe that's been the step for me to go out of these walls and start speaking to people, because it's a bit scary. We went out on Friday night, and who's been out Friday night into Ashton before? Anyone? I got a little bit nervous walking past some pubs and bars, I'm not going to lie, because alcohol does daft stuff to people. But on the flip side, people become more open and speak. So a lady walked past called Zoe, and I said, do you want some good news? I said, we're giving out Bible. She said, oh, I'm a Christian. And she was like, we got speaking. She said, where are you from? We told her where we were. And she said, oh, me and my husband, she's called Zoe and he's called Tony, from Nigeria, Christians. And she's like, I've been wanting to find a church around here. So whether that's coincidence or not, but probably not. So I said, we'd welcome you. So she's on holiday this week. So next Sunday, Zoe and her husband, Tony, said they will be here. So please pray that may happen. So that's hopefully encouraging for people. And we got speaking to a couple called Joe and Joanne for about half an hour. Lovely, open people. I don't believe they're Christians. But Joe was like, I'll be there Sunday. And I was like, I'm the preacher. Oh, no pressure. So he texted me yesterday morning and said, you can't come. Initially, I was a bit, but then I thought to myself, what perspective am I going to look at this at? Am I going to think, oh, it didn't work, or who knows what God's going to do in that man's heart? And plus, we've been obedient and done what we've done. Now, it's up to God to do whatever he wants to that person. So that's Joe and Joanne. So, hello everybody, thanks for watching this video. I hope you and your family are well at this time. As you just watched, that was a bit of my experience 2 weeks ago out in Ashton. We also went out last night, Thursday night, me and Paul, and initially I was a bit, wasn't fully motivated to go out, a bit tired, a bit of a headache, but I thought, you know, if there's only that one person that we speak to, then we've done our job. So we went out and it was a quiet night. There wasn't many people about. We had less conversations, but the ones that we did have were encouraging. And just 2 examples of some conversations. I spoke to a young lad called Sam. I think he was 17. And guess what? He was a born-again believer. He goes to a church in Bolton with his family. And he gave me his testimony. And that was just a wonderful, encouraging moment, because I thought that we were a remnant Christians in my area. There's not many about, but each week that I've been in the streets of Ashton, I've met a Christian. So I hope that encourages you to see that there are other Christians about. So that was nice. And then we got in a conversation with 2 girls called Shannon, and I'll put the names below. 2 wonderful girls. They were open, they had questions. However, Shannon asked some hard questions, and it came from her work. So she works in a place where there's blind people, there's people with mental issues, and she said, if God exists, why doesn't he cure them all? And that is a good question, because it shows that she's thinking. But there's a few thoughts on this. First off, just because there's sickness, disease, doesn't mean that God doesn't exist. So that's the first one. So then the question is why? Well, in the first century, and when Jesus lived, he cured all people of diseases, sickness, blindness, you name it. They were all cleansed. There was miracles galore. Then you might ask, well, why was that in the first century and we don't see it today? First off, God still does miracles and heals people, so it does happen, but it probably doesn't happen to the extent that it did in Jesus' day. So why? Well, Jesus and the disciples, they were spreading the gospel, the good news. So to verify or to validate the message, the signs and the wonders accompanied it. So we're giving you this, we're telling you the truth of Jesus rising from the dead, but look at these miracles, signs and wonders. This shows that it's the truth. So that's why they were happening now. 2,000 years later, we have the full Bible, the completed Bible. So we don't need the signs and the wonders to validate the Bible, as the Bible is complete. That is sufficient. We have everything there for us to know Jesus and know God. So that's a reason why. And then the other reason is God sees the beginning to the end. We just see the now. So we don't know what God has in store for these people, or why some people are born with blindness or what have you. We cannot answer the question. So that was a tough conversation, but hopefully she took away maybe a different perspective. And on an ironic note, Paul's tracts that he was giving out was about a man born with no arms, and his testimony was that obviously he's come to know Jesus through his circumstance. And hopefully she reads that and realizes that the priority in life, please, if you're watching this with some form of illness or sickness, please don't think that I'm lowering your situation. But if we compare eternity with now, so now we live generally 60, 70, 80, 90 years. So that in terms of eternity is that eternity is forever. So the most important thing today is our soul, which lives forever, the internal, the inside of us, not the external. So we need to make sure we get that right with God, so that we spend eternity in heaven. So it was an encouraging night, a few good conversations. We didn't give any Bibles out, but we gave a few tracts out. So overall, I hope this video is encouraging you, as going out with Paul and speaking to people is definitely encouraging me. So take care and join me next time for another video from the streets of Ashton. Bye.